Many of you have saved for 30, 40, or more years during your career just to get to retirement. But when you finally make that decision to stop working, will you be able to spend what you've worked so hard to save? Joining us to discuss that, Gary Mattson and Laurel Stewart, the father-daughter duo from Mattson Financial Services, a financial firm that's been helping people retire successfully right here in West Michigan for decades. You can also catch them on the radio on their popular show, Money Mentors. Gary, Laurel, is it hard for good savers to start spending in retirement? I mean, I know that might be difficult for me. Like, you've spent all these years saving it. Is it hard to spend it?
It's funny. We do see that. We've seen it more, I feel like, this year, too, talking about it.
Yeah, we've had actually clients come in and say, you know, I've been working and working. They could even be working into their 70s, even part-time, and what Social Security didn't need to take income. And now they're saying, finally, we're going to stop working. We want to take income. And we had this one client come in, and she says, I just can't get myself wrapped around not saving anymore and spending money. And I asked her, well, who instilled this in you? And she says, he did, pointing to her husband. And he says, he says, Gary, I've been telling her for 5 years it's okay. I said, well, he's now giving you permission, time to turn on the income.
Right, and that's what we talk about. There's 3 different stages to retirement. We've got the go-go years where you're doing all of this, you know, all these things and enjoying it, the slow go, and then the no-go. So right now, right when you retire, those go-go years, that's when you want to spend, and like you had mentioned, sometimes people need a little permission.
Well, there it is. Sounds like you've got it. People that are seeking that permission to spend those hard-earned dollars, it's okay. But it sounds like, you know, some people are planning for longer retirements these days. You probably still need the money to grow, even after you've stopped working. Does that mean maybe those risk-averse people might not like to hear this, but doing more of that with your investments?
Yeah, there has to be a portion there just because, I mean, we're talking about these different changes in the economy, and right now a big one's inflation, which is running at 6% or so. So you need to make sure, just to break even, that your dollars are earning, you know, or that rate of return is 6% or more to make sure you can do those things you want to do.
Let's face it, let's say inflation averages 3%, and you're 50 years old, and you have $1 million in your portfolio. When you're 74 years old, or in 24 years, that portfolio needs to be at $2 million just to buy the same things you're doing today. So that's a huge thing to look at besides taking income. So if your portfolio is not keeping up with inflation, you're actually going behind, you will run out of money.
Oh, no one wants to do that, but once someone sees how your plan works over time, it should make it easier for them to spend on the fun things in retirement, right?
Yeah, and it does take a little bit to get used to, just because it's funny. Some of our clients, once they start understanding the cycle and they see the markets are going down, they're calling in and saying, hey, we talked about this when it came to that philosophy piece. Now's the time to buy, right?
Are we buying? Are we buying? Yeah.
Exactly. Those conversations are great. So just understanding that, having that conversation with clients and with your advisor to know what is your philosophy and how does everything work? How do you get paid? And these are all questions that we answer during that very first meeting.
And then the last piece we put into place, of course, is that when you leave this earth and there's no one left, a husband and wife, what happens to those assets? What we call the wealth planning to pass on to beneficiaries or charities. Making sure that's in place so that you know where your assets are going and they're doing what you want them to do, even when you're gone. So that's a beautiful piece that you can see now and make those decisions instead of at the end.
You know, successful savers might be more cautious. They might lend themselves to protecting those assets and that money. Are there any pitfalls out there for those successful savers to watch out for?
It's really being diversified. It's understanding that, you know, you can put money into an account, but if it's not going to grow or you're not getting some risk of return on that, that could be detrimental to your plan as well as not even saving. If you're a good saver, let's face it, if you've got $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 into a 401k and you're putting some money into it, the growth of those assets are going to be much more important than how much you can contribute to that. So it's having a balance of that risk and that's right for you to get you where you want to go. So while you're saving, you got to make sure you have the balance of risk that's proper for your accounts.
Okay, so you got a little bit of risk in there, but does that make much of a difference on how long that money can last? Is that really vital?
Yeah, absolutely, because you're not investing for like you did when you were in your 20s and 30s, or even your 40s. You're investing for retirement now. And so it's a totally different set of rules and getting comfortable with that. But you want to make sure, well, our goal is to look at, swinging and getting singles and doubles, not home runs and strikeouts. And what I mean by that is you just don't have enough time on your side anymore to where if you do feel the market swings because you're taking on too much risk that you didn't know that you were even in sometimes, and you feel that market negativity of 30% or more, what do? Do you say, oh, I'm not going to retire and I'm going to work another 10 years? That's not a great plan. We want to make sure that you get to choose when you want to retire. So making sure you're in check with the growth of your assets and your comfort is very, very, should be your top priority when it comes to an advisor.
A lot of people say, well, I'm diversified. I know I've got more than just stocks and bonds, but they're not diversified in investment strategies. So if everything worked as a buy and hold, we'd all be doing that. That would be the only strategy. And there's actually over 5 different strategies of investing assets that you really need to have part of your plan, because each strategy has this different opportunity when it reacts to certain markets. So it's not being just diversified, but it's having different strategies available to you as well.
Well, it all hopefully has the end goal of more money that they can now spend and enjoy for their own retirement. For viewers who have questions about how they can start enjoying what they've worked so hard for, how can they get started?
Well, if you have $250,000 or more of assets and you're within 3 years of retiring or less, or in retirement, give us a call at 616-514-3831. We'll go through your dreams, your goals, your desires, put together a plan that takes in the taxations, the Medicare pieces, all of those to make sure that you are going to have a stress-free retirement.
Perfect. Sounds like an incredible offer. Thank you, Gary and Laurel. And so for you at home, we know you've worked hard for what you saved for retirement. Now find out how those savings can work for you. Take advantage of that special offer from Mattson FInancial. Gary, Laurel, the team, we're going to sit down with you personally to customize a retirement plan just for you. This is a comprehensive plan that includes a look at your taxes, investments, your income sources, and much more. Then it maps out a path to get you to and through that retirement you deserve. You've worked hard your whole life. Now find out how all that hard work can pay off. Call now, 616-514-3831. That's 616-514-3831. Gary, Laurel, thanks again for the time.